Hey, it's Vlad with Glow Marble, and my friend Francis invited me over for another stamped concrete job right here in Brooklyn, New York. The homeowner had some greenery here that he didn't like taking care of all the time. It was causing a lot of problems with bugs, especially mosquitoes, and there was not enough space for parking multiple cars in the front of the house. Let's see what Francis can do with the Glow Marble stamps to renew this place, make it functional and beautiful. I'll see you guys the next day. So we're back the next day, and what the guys ended up doing was tamping down the earth. They fluffed up by digging it out, and then they added the expansion joints, which are very important, especially inside of cold, hot climates like New York, where the concrete can expand, contract due to cold weather, hot weather. It's going to give the concrete a little bit of play, make sure it doesn't crack in any places. Where the new concrete is touching old concrete, it's going to give it a little bit of wiggle room. Additionally, wire mesh is laid on the ground to increase the strength of the concrete and to minimize any cracking in unwanted areas. And the plan originally was going to be, they're going to make the concrete completely flush with the old concrete that was existing here, but down there's a pipe sticking out. That's all the power and electricity going into the home, so they're going to have to raise up the concrete about 3 inches on that side and give it a nice slope. That's going to do two things. One, the concrete is going to be able to cover that pipe without having to remove it, and second, it's going to give a nice slope for rainwater to fall down, and it's not going to start pooling over onto the person's driveway. So it's always a good idea to take the stamps before you start stamping and lay them on the floor to see exactly what the pattern is, how you're supposed to put them down. With a 3300 stamp series, they're pretty easy to use. They all interlock in the same way, and especially when you're stamping, it's a good idea to rotate them every so often so that the stamps and the stones on the pattern don't start repeating themselves. This stamp pattern lets you do that very easily. You don't have to really kind of worry about which direction, which orientation you're going to be stamping them. And these are large stamp mats, which a lot of people like. And we're not only going to be using the 3300 stamps, but we're also going to be using these border stamps, which is a really good idea when you're transitioning from something like a stamped concrete to an old concrete. If there is no real border or transition between one and the other concretes, it's going to look messy and it's going to look incomplete. I don't like the way that it looks. You always want to put a border on there. And the amount of stamps that you typically need is going to be enough to cover the width of the entire slab and 2 extra to continue on your next row. Otherwise, you don't have enough, because remember, you're basically using the stamps as a raft to float across the concrete surface. If you don't have enough, later on the line, further down the slab, you're going to start getting inconsistencies where the grout lines and the marks between the stamps don't exactly line up. So the concrete truck has arrived, and the most common specs to ask the plant for is a 3 to 4 inch slump with a 3 to 4,000 psi and an aggregate size of 3/8 to ½ an inch.
And you can see over there, that little piece of wood is where the electrical connects to the pipe. They're going to leave that completely empty. They're going to make a little form with a cap to put on top of that so that they can easily remove it if any electrical work needs to be done. The whole concrete pad isn't going to have to be completely removed. You can see how they're going ahead and lifting up that mesh just to make sure it's suspended in between the concrete and not sitting all the way down at the bottom. When it's sitting all the way down at the bottom, it's not doing anybody any good. You have to make sure that the mesh is suspended in between the slab, not sitting at the floor.
So what they're doing now is screening the concrete into the rough shape and pitch. You could already see the slope sort of forming as they pull the screed across the concrete after spreading the mud around with their rakes. Now they're hitting it with a bow float, and that does a couple of things. First, it quickly evens out minor imperfections over a large area, and the second thing it does is pushes the large aggregates down and away from the surface of the concrete, which would otherwise get in the way of the stamped finish. If there are any large dips or low spots, they throw some extra concrete on the floor and float over it just to make sure everything is even. Once they're done with the bow float, they can start using a funny trowel to do the finishing touches to fully smooth the concrete and prepare it for the stamping process.
Now how you know the concrete's ready to get stamped is when you touch it, it's still malleable and movable, but nothing gets left on your finger. That's when the concrete's ready to get stamped. The time difference is going to be a little bit different, all depending on weather conditions. Especially right here, half of the pad is exposed to the sunlight while the other half is in the shade. We know we have to start in the area that's exposed by sunlight because the concrete's setting up a lot quicker over here than it is over there. When you're ready to start stamping, the most important thing is going to be your release agent. Right in this instance, we're using a powder release with a pigment charcoal. It's going to do two things. It's going to make sure the concrete does not get stuck to the stamps. And number two, it's going to give us a nice accenting color that's going to give us kind of a two-tone definition. It's going to look the stamp job look a lot more natural. Now it's really important that the powder not only go on top of the concrete, but also on top of the stamps, just so you get a 100% guarantee nothing is going to stick onto there. And you see the difference between those red stamps and that beige one is the beige one is floppy. It's going to help us get into tight to reach areas like corners. Those rigid stamps are far too rigid. You're not going to be able to bend as much as the beige one will. And all the way around the corners, they're going to start using a small skin stamp to stamp a stone texture around just to make sure there's no bald spots where the floppy mat isn't going to be able to reach all the way to the end. Now that the guys are finishing up, all that there is to do is sit and wait until the next day where they're going to come, wash off all this release agent, and put on the sealer.
And before we go, a lot of times while using the floppy mats right next to a corner, the stamp's grout lines won't get fully stamped, and a really easy way to fix this is either by using a touch-up wheel, a concrete chisel, or in this case just using a contractor's pencil and hammer. And while you're at it, you always want to clean your stamps when you're done using them. Usually a hose with a thick bristle brush will do, but for tougher stains you could always wash the stamps with GSR or liquid stamp release.
So it's the next morning, and what the guys are going to end up doing is washing off all that powder release with a regular hose, and then they're going to hit it with the pressure washer. The reason they're doing it with the regular hose first is they want to keep all that powder down, not lift it up all over into the air, and so they're just going to wet the powder first and then power wash everything off and then get the final accented look. The PSI on their pressure washer is about 4,000. And now what these guys are doing is cutting control joints. Like I said beforehand, concrete is going to crack no matter what, because the ground is moving underneath it no matter what.
it's gonna crack whether you like it or not. And so cutting control joints is another way of making the concrete crack exactly where you want it. It's the same exact concept with the sidewalks. The reason why you don't see sidewalks poured in one giant monolithic slab, it would turn out to be a complete mess. That's why they're all in nice, neat little squares.
Now they're going to go ahead and pressure wash the slab at 4,000 psi. The proper way to do that is by holding the wand at a perfect 90-degree angle, anywhere from 12 to 16 inches from the surface. The reason we pressure wash is to remove any excess release agent, which would otherwise prevent the sealer from properly bonding to the floor. If you think that the pressure washing is removing too much color, it's much safer to stain the concrete after pressure washing than leaving any excess powder release. Do it right the first time around.
So we're done with the power washing, and now what we're gonna do is address the issue of that border not looking all too different from the rest of the stamped concrete. The way we're gonna do that is with a water-based stain, but first, let's use a leaf blower to semi-dry this out so we have a nice clean slate to work with. So this is the Eco Stain. It's a concentrated water-based stain, meaning that to get the color on the color chart on the website, you dilute this with 3 parts water, but you're not necessarily confined to that dilution ratio. If you want it to be darker, you could always add less water, and if you want it to be lighter, you can do vice versa. The color I'm going to be using is Domino, and it's a very potent color, so instead of doing the 3 parts water, I'm doing 6 parts water to 1 part stain, giving me a much better coverage rate and also more subtle difference between this color and that one. And there's a whole lot of ways that you can apply this stain, the most popular being with the sprayer, especially if you're doing all the entire stamped concrete job in one color. It's a lot easier, it's a lot faster to spray everything. But since I'm doing just the border and I need slightly more precision, I'm gonna go with a sponge. And you can see automatically it starts deepening that color, and it's not like a paint where it's gonna give me one completely solid color. You see, as the stain starts to settle in, it will start accenting. Where the deeper points are, it gets darker. Where the lighter points are, it stays lighter. This is why I always prefer the stain, and the fact that it's water-based means that it's very user-friendly. If I don't like the way that any of this looks, I could always come back and wash this stuff off with some water. Now, you always have to remember that when we're putting on the sealer, which we have to do since this is a water-based stain and it needs to get locked into there with the sealer, is that the sealer is going to give us a wet look, not only in shininess, but also in the color. Right now this stain is wet. This is what the final look of the stain is going to look like once we put the sealer on. Meanwhile, right next to it is the dry concrete. It's not a really good reference of what the contrast between this color and that color will be. So all I have is a wet paper towel. Wet this, and look at that, I immediately see the contrast between the border and the rest of the stamped concrete stones we have. And I like this color. I think it's the perfect amount of contrast. I'm gonna keep going with this. And one more quick tip for very, very tight to reach areas. You could always use a thin little brush like this just to get into those little corners where I don't wanna mess up and pigment the other stones while getting everything nice on our border. And we could just continue doing this the whole way around until we're all the way done. Afterwards, we're gonna wait until the stain is completely dry, and then we can put on a special sealer that we could put on almost immediately after casting the concrete, which is not very usual for most sealers. So now everything is basically dry, but if we were to use a regular sealer, we would have to wait 28 days before applying. Right now they're applying a product called CS250, a concrete cure and seal. Instead of a regular sealer, you could apply this stuff literally the next day after rolling, which is a very unique advantage. The only disadvantage is that you have to reseal this after 1 year, which really does give it the possibility of being as breathable as it is, letting you seal so early. And you're gonna see the minute that he starts rolling this on, just how much the color is gonna pop, how much the colors are gonna stand out. Right now they look washed out because everything is dry. Watch this. So the stamped concrete front yard is finished. It looks great, so here are some closing shots for you. I really like the way that that border transitions into the stamped concrete, but it also serves as a piece of functional art, giving you more space to park any cars. What we haven't addressed in this video yet is the wall and the stairs, which we also redid to match the stamped concrete. To see how we did this, stay tuned for the next video, which is going to be either on the left or the right hand side of your screen. So you've made it to the end of my video, but now I want to ask you for a quick favor. See, the YouTube algorithm gets tricked into showing my video to a lot more people if a lot of people comment on it. So criticize me, praise me, or just ask a question. As long as you leave a comment, I'm gonna appreciate it a lot. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.